Good evening. My name is Carrie V. Dean, and I am bringing you another episode of A Dullard Speaks. Tonight, my topic is basically along the lines of the do's and don'ts of the new political arena. It seems the Republicans want to be able to have freedom of speech to say anything they want. But if anyone else says anything against what they're saying, they want to throw them in jail. And they call the lefties snowflakes. I laugh about that. Um, it also seems that they think they're truth sayers. There's not much truth in anything they've said thus far. Um, they've mostly been throwing out a lot of spin on what they've previously said to what they're saying now. So, come next big election, guess what? Won't be voting for any Republicans. Yes, I said Republicans because they all act like they've been in a bar drinking and come out the next day trying to smell like a rose. um, it's ridiculous. In the House right now, over half of them voted for a bill that they had never read just because Trump said it was the big, beautiful bill. How the heck you gonna vote on something you didn't even read? If I do that on any job that I've ever worked in my life, uh, let's just say that you can imagine with me being a black woman, it already isn't gonna bode well. But even if I wasn't a black woman, just a poor person trying to make an honest living, like most of us are, uh, we lose our jobs if we work the way they worked in the House right now. That's ridiculous. Have had at least four Republicans come out and state that they hadn't read the full bill or they wouldn't have voted for it. Why'd you vote for it if you hadn't read it? The best thing would have been to say, hey, we need to go through this a little more. We need to extend some time. Oh, but Trump has the base following him and I might not get reelected. Guess what? If you haven't been following the news, that base has moved on. The ones that are smart enough to know that they've been had have moved on and they're through with you guys. You want to know why? You're not standing up for the little guy like you were being big and bad and boasting to get their votes. You haven't done not one thing to help the little guy. The poor in America isn't going to go away as long as you guys keep pulling the crap that you're pulling. As a matter of fact, you just made a lot of us a little poor with all the different healthcare cuts that you're doing. A lot of our insurances are about to be canceled. So who are you punishing? Largely, you're punishing your loyal base, the people that voted your butt back in office. Um, I just think it's crazy. This thing of you guys keep wanting to call out Crockett saying she's playing the race card when Crockett isn't the one bringing up race. um, it's implied. No, it wasn't implied. All she brought up was the inequities that you guys have. You guys within your own base have these double standards. Who meets the cut to be considered a loyal Republican and who doesn't? And unfortunately, with the old school Republicans, they're just sitting back shaking their heads because they can't believe the state that you guys have the administration in now. Um, this has been the crappiest administration, including Trump's first administration. This is the crappiest one of all for the American people. Uh, just like most of us, whether we're lefties or not, thought the majority of the people already knew. Republicans win everything from presidency to the House and the Senate. Nothing gets done. Guess what? Nothing's getting done. Oh, wait, I take that back. Yes, things are getting done, but things aren't getting done legally. Things are just being sort of let go, just sort of like how when Trump was running his businesses and he ran them into the ground, he got off the hook and kept getting loans for a new business. Yeah, it doesn't take much mathematics to say what was happening there. But like they say, you Republicans keep throwing bad money after bad money. That's what got us in the first big depression. You thought you were helping out the Richie Rich and found out the Richie Rich really didn't know what the hell they were doing. They just got lucky. And you're finding that out again. At least Elon Musk has found that out. um, Poor Elon. Man, you should have took us up on the offer for you to self-deport before all of this started happening. You'd have been much happier. You would have still had your Tesla business had you kept your behind in South Africa. Excuse me. Parch my had to quench that parch I was trying to say. I find it interesting that the very people in the administration now calling other people dumb and stupid and everything else, you cannot hold an adult conversation with them. Every last single one of them in the committee oversight trials have got on the witness stand and done the 12-year-old rant like a 12-year-old child. It's like watching Pee-wee Herman have to explain politics. Even when their own House colleagues are trying to question them. They cannot give a straight answer, or if they do give an answer, it's not the correct answer. The person that's questioning them looks at them cockeyed. It's like, how the hell did we put you in this position? Well, you did, because you're basically all of you have been acting like little 12-year-old children. I got the power now. Look what I can do. I can squash you. it, sure. But when haven't you not been squashing some of us? Some of us, like myself, already know we were going to get squashed. We get squashed no matter whose administration goes in. So you're not saying much, and you're not doing much in trying to hurt us or trying to damage us. I mean, you you guys had been damaged our reputation years ago. Right about the time you call yourselves giving us all that good freedom. In For most of you being lawyers and not understanding the letter, that's right, the letter of the law. That is mystifying. It's mystifying in the fact that you just hate to admit the truth. The Constitution was written to exclude certain people. But you couldn't exactly exclude those people when those people were the ones that basically built this country. You call yourselves colonizers because you Shanghai people from a different land and brought them over here to work your fields. You didn't colonize anything, they did. But, like they say, strong man, rich man gets to write the history. Right or wrong, he gets to write the history. So, you act as though black people came over here on boats and stuff and wanted in. No, we didn't. We were forced on those boards, and we were forced to come over here, and we were forced to work your fields. Okay? The history you keep trying to bury that you can't really bury because there's too many other people whose parentage goes back to those days that are still living in the US that can still tell the story, the real story. You can burn books, you can try to delete history any way you want, but it all comes back in the end, usually to bite you in the butt. So please, when you're in Congress, this is everybody's problem. Stop making it racial. So, you guys want to bring up Martin Luther King and Martin Luther King, Martin Luther King, and he was a great man, Martin Luther King. No, Martin Luther King wasn't a great man. Martin Luther King was a solid leader. I think he'd be preferred to be remembered as the latter. He might not have been a good father, he might not have been a good husband, but he was a good leader of the people. You don't bring up Malcolm X because Malcolm X was an outlaw. He was a criminal. He was a Muslim. And guess what? He was a Muslim that helped unify people. That's why you had to have him killed. Oh, I know not you personally in today's society, but back in the day, the people of your party had him killed, assassinated. Excuse me. Take a little sip. Um, you had to. No one can blame you. But this little, as they say, Pee Wee Herman thing that you're doing in the courts and stuff isn't fooling anybody, because it's just making you look stupid and sound ignorant. Um, please, if anybody on the Republican Party in the House to date has a backbone, especially in the Senate, don't pass this dumb ass bill that you're trying to pass. It's stupid. You cut out all the stuff that the Dems had put into the package, and made it just all Republican stuff. So don't try to come back and blame it on Democrats, because the Democrats have even been saying, you've been saying, the Democrats didn't do nothing on this bill. Well, don't come back 2 months later and I hear you saying, oh, well, it's Biden's fault, or it's still the Biden's Democrats that are in the House that are causing the problem. And yeah, yeah. Please, we're sick of that whining. Trump, before he even took over office, had already tanked the economy because he started crying about tariffs way back up the end of November. Shortly, I mean, it was only 4 days after he heard he had won the electoral vote that he started cranking up on how many tariffs he was going to put and how much he was going to put on China and Mexico and Canada. And everybody went, what the hell, Canada? Why you put? Wait a minute now. I haven't gone into any liquor stores because I'm not a drinker, but I'm sure if I went into one of, just out of curiosity, went into one of the liquor stores now, I'm sure the prices on a lot of the alcohol that's no longer being imported by Canada, that's just sitting on shelves here in America because the price is too high for anyone to want to really truly buy it. Yeah, That's one thing I can say came good out of the tariffs. We might have a few less drunks roaming the streets as they won't be able to afford their favorite alcohol anymore. Um, hmm, Trying to think of a lot of good things to say. There's not much to say good about this Republican administration. This one is, I call them the Thuggagans. They're it's a house full of thugs and DEI hires. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna say it. Dumb, evil, inept people running departments that have no clue what they're talking about. RFK don't know just how stupid and foolish he looks sitting in the Congress, in the face of the Congress, during these committee hearings and saying stuff like, well, I'm not a doctor, don't listen to me. And when he's the head of health. Okay. I'm sorry, give myself the Eagles. And I loved it when he tried to argue when they were reading from his transcripts what he said previously to get the position in the Senate. And he says, those aren't my words. You idiot, she just said she's reading from the transcript. Those aren't your words? Then you should take it up with the person that was doing the transcribing during that hearing trial for you to get the position. Don't argue with the person that's reading from the script telling you what you said. Because you didn't make any sense and you just didn't have a clue. And I think what's really dumb about those hearings is when you show that you don't have a sense of purpose and no clue as to what's going on, then maybe you should speak less. Just say, I don't know, take the heat for not knowing, and then say you get it to them as soon as possible. In the story, trying to justify why you don't know and all this other stuff. Excuse me, you're the head of the department. You're supposed to be the smartest guy in the room, not the opposite way. Oh, somebody underneath me must have did that. Well, why don't you know if someone underneath you did it or not? Hmm. Questions brings up lots of questions, doesn't it? And we won't even go into Christy Nome. That woman is so clueless. You could give her the clue, and she still couldn't catch a clue. I'm sorry, she's just eh. uh, uh, we are following the law. Well, no, we're following what our president's told us to do. No, what your president told you to do is not the law. It is not the policy of law. If the president told you to come up in the house right now and kill me, would you do it? Because that's just, sorry for the pun, capital offense. Oh, oh gosh. Capital punishment and capital abuse all rolled into one. Uh, she She should have just stuck to modeling. That's about the nicest thing I could say about her. Because she doesn't belong in the political arena at all. Um, the lashing out with personal attacks on people, only to have it thrown back in your face. Ouch, that must hurt a lot. But you guys have just shown what spineless behind kissers you are because you just sit there with a silly little grin on your face. And guess what? Every last single one of you that are trying to be so loyal to Trump, if given half a chance, the man will throw every last single one of you under the bus. He would do it. He's already throwing Elon under the bus. Elon thought that he was doing something smart and helping himself and helping his businesses out by cutting all those departments and stuff. And now he's found out why he maybe shouldn't have cut out all those departments. Because now, every time Trump cuts a department or something, he's going to say it was on their recommendation of Doge. So whether Elon's there at the White House or not, you're still going to get blamed, buddy, for everything that Trump's doing dirty. Um, Maybe you should have read the fine print a little closer as to what you were getting into. Bet you wish you hadn't thrown those billions of dollars at his ass now. um, I don't know how to tell you, man, but you've been Donald. And all these guys with their little podcasts and stuff that were centering around Trump and, and talking bad about people and putting people down and talking stupid and going, ha, I scored one. Aha, I made him look stupid. Ha ha. Um, Guess what? When Trump finishes what he's doing now with freedom of speech, unless you're preaching absolutely every word that comes out of his mouth as the Bible, as a Bible verse, I'm trying to say, your careers are practically over. Because the second he hears any of you cross him up, we won't hear from you ever again. So stay strong, Charlie Kirk, and all the rest of you MAGA nuts. Stay strong. Because the second he learns who you are and that you crossed him, you're next on his retribution list. Nobody believed he was going to do that. Let's put it this way. Yes, people believed he was going to do that. That's why so many of us was out trying to get the rest of you to understand that he was going to do what he's doing. When he gets through, all you will be able to do is go to work, go home. Oh, sure, you can still have the freedom to go out and eat at restaurants, and you can still have the freedom to go to a movie and maybe take a vacation. Um, Only in countries that he deems are suitable for you to take a vacation in. And certain states that he deems are okay for you to vacation at. But don't cross that invisible line that seems to move all over the place depending on his mood. Because that's the way he's going to be governing for the next 3 years. What you're seeing now is just the face of it. And the next 3 years is going to be so bad. You know, they've already cut down on the American workers' work hours. So him saying that you won't have to pay taxes, he was laughing the whole time because he said it when he was at the Pittsburgh rally, talking about bringing back the steel workers who didn't realize Biden had already done that. They were already flourishing. Oh, now they're starting to understand that they were flourishing under Biden. They weren't hurting that bad under Biden. Union workers weren't hurting that bad under Biden. It was all the rest of us numbskulls that were working positions that weren't unionized that were hurting. Anyone that was backed by a union, you had it good. Yeah. No. Well, maybe someday we'll be able to have a truthful dialogue to iron out the differences and get things worked out. But for right now, you Republicans have a lot of growing up to do. Paul Rubens died some years ago, so the I know you are, but when am I routine that you've been doing is starting to get real old real fast, as us, the regular public, aren't seeing anything that you're doing to our favor. Cutting health care, cutting veteran loans, uh, cutting low income households, from the supports that they need to survive as this tariff war rages on. And it's not really raging on because the rest of the world has moved on. they're starting to make deals with each other. Countries that didn't even really truly like each other are starting to make deals with each other because they're like, hey, we're not paying that 10% to America. Hell, oh, your country's already gonna you're gonna stay. Okay, then we'll just buy from you. So America's getting reamed, and the MAGA nuts are just laughing with Donald Trump. Oh, we're winning. Yeah, you are. You're winning yourself right into a corner. You will be in that lonely corner all to yourself. As more companies are starting to leave the U.S. and move their main offices to places like Dubai and other places away from the U.S. territory. Mexico, you know, hell, even Ecuador's getting in on the deal. I just read, I forget which company it was, is talking about moving to Ecuador just to get out of the U.S. Um, guys, we can't keep losing our manufacturing any more than you've already lost for us the first term. Uh, this time you totally ruined what would have been a boom manufacturing in the green energy. Oh, you don't believe in green energy and this, that, and yeah, 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 yada, yada. Yes, you believe in tearing up the earth, polluting our oceans with the tanker spills, and not holding any company accountable for it, and not really having a real plan to back up when an oil spill happens. Who's going to clean it up? Because you gutted FEMA. So, um, yeah, that about sums it up. Just some talking points for next time. I guess I got it kind of off my chest and got it laid out. So please have a good night. And if anyone listens or watches this, it's just me ranting, just getting rid of all my rage for today so I can sleep. On that note, if you have any comments, please do, and have a good night. This has been Carrie V. Dean for A Dullard Speaks, signing off.